I'm feeling so unstoppable. Beating the impossible. Being number one ain't nothing new. Get up off the tracks, it's that choo-choo. Yeah, that J-train coming through. I said that choo-choo. Yeah, that J-train coming through. You know that choo-choo. Yeah, that J-train coming through. It's that J-train coming through. That J-train coming through. But I'm coming for it all. Yeah, me and brother Vinny. I'm a top-notch warrior, but
Yo, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Blood, Sweat, and Banter podcast. As you know, it's your boy, Justin J. Train, alongside my brother and your co-host, Vinny Headlock. Man, we took a little break. We just had a lot of things going on in our lives, but we're happy to be back. We're coming up on the end of the year. Want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Hopefully you had a great time. Cherish those times and those memories, just spending them with your loved ones. We'll go over that here a little bit. Vin, what about you, man? Talk to us about your Christmas.
So, man, I mean, obviously we didn't get a episode out, but, you know, as I see on my shirt, you know, started the wrestling season, started coaching, and that takes a lot of time. I mean, you know, every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it's just wrestle. So, but Christmas was good, man. I think... we spent so much time in the kitchen, Aaliyah and I.
I saw your Snapchat, and Vinny, you have to put a picture up, and it just shows Vinny's kitchen, and I'm like,
covered.
Damn, dude! Like, I'd say multiple hundreds of cookies.
Hundreds. Like,
I was like, damn, that's a lot of cookies.
Like, I told her the whole thing is like, babe, there's like maybe 20 people at this house, and you're acting like each one of them is going to take home like 20 cookies for each of them. And she's like, I just want them to know I care. And I was like,
Aaliyah, trust me, we know you care. This was a very busy Christmas. I know for us, me, Haley, it was very busy. As for you, I know you did all four families as well, right?
Most of them, we went to her mom's and we hung out with her mom and dad, and, you know, did the little thing with the kiddos, and then we went to Graham's. So then we did our own little thing, just, you know, her, I, and Maddox. So it was chill.
But
man, you, dude, you were all over the place.
We did a lot. Same thing I said earlier of, you know, there were some things that happened this year that just kind of made us just kind of hit the head and hit the heart. So we wanted to make sure we took some time to go see all of our family who sometimes we don't get to see as much. My fiance has some family who's getting a little bit older, kind of having some health issues. So it was very important to us to go see them. And we did. And man, it kind of hit my heart because her grandma started crying whenever she's like, we haven't got to spend Christmas with you guys. And so it kind of hit my heart. I know they cherished it. I cherished it. So went and saw my grandma on my mother's side, our grandma. Spent some time with her. Then we went up to Weldona, spent some time with Haley's mom's side. And then the next day, Haley's dad's side. And then we had the drive back. And then we saw, obviously, our dad's side. And oh, man, if you guys never seen that movie, Four Christmases, that's kind of what it's like. Just very diverse, very different families. Yeah. I love them all, and it's very fun to just get to spend the time with them. But damn, that was a lot. So
when you want, and it's a very different dynamic of Christmas too. You know, it's like when we went to Aaliyah's mom's house and did our thing, it was like free for all for the presents. Just like, go get your present, open it, play with it, do what you got to do. But I remember for us, it was like, hey, we go youngest to oldest, and you're like pissed off because someone had a baby that year, and you're like, got to wait for this baby to open presents.
Baby can't even open the present.
Yeah, man, we're gonna be here all day, and you're just dying to open that skateboard or whatever, you know. But and the food, dude, like, you know, we had Mexican Christmas, and I love when Graham, you know, puts the oven baked burritos, dude, and that
are probably my favorite food on the entire planet. I could probably devour a whole
tray
cooking sheet,
one
on my own. But I mean, dang, dude, I'm not gonna lie. My stomach was messed up yesterday. I'm feeling good now, but Haley's family, they like to do things a little different than ours, where it's still kind of like a free for all on food. Everybody brings some stuff. We have like a main course. Sometimes they like to do gizzards. Some people don't
Gizzards.
like them. They're a little different. I technically like chicken tenders, kind of chicken nuggets, but a little
Okay.
more chewy.
Gotcha.
Meatballs, and then we also did prime rib, which
Oh,
everybody's a fan of prime rib, right?
if you don't like
Man.
prime rib, you're insane, dude. For Christmas too, that's
Yep.
that had to hit the spot.
And then obviously Graham's burritos. We did honey baked ham. I
Mhm.
mean, shitload of cookies.
Shitload of cookies. Thank you, Aaliyah. We peanut butter kisses, sugar cookies with the frosting.
I'm not gonna lie. I tried to put my dent in them, Aaliyah. I ate probably like 5 of them, but then I reached my limit, dude. I couldn't have it anymore. It was too many.
Well,
So.
and there was still a bunch left over, and she was like, "I'm leaving them here.
Just leave them.
Just leave." And she was like, "Somebody will take some home, but if we take these home, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner is going to be cookies." So,
Maybe after we're done, we can run to like downtown. There's like some homeless and stuff.
Yeah,
something.
a little
I mean,
something.
we'll let everybody have their pick first, and then
yeah, there's.
I mean,
but I bet you that'll cheer them up. I mean, like it's obviously not like a warm meal, but hey, it's some food.
something's better than nothing.
Exactly.
Go by the food bank or something. Maybe there's people.
Man.
I don't know. We'll see.
What was there anything that you wanted for Christmas that you didn't get?
Man, me and Haley kind of we just decided we're gonna go kind of light for Christmas this year. We are planning the wedding. We got a lot of our stuff locked in, so we just I didn't really need much. We spent a lot of time with people that we wanted to, and that was really important to me. But shoot, man, I mean, I got some gift cards. I got some money. I ate a lot of different food. So, I mean, shoot, man, I'm happy. I'm blessed. I mean, I got a couple workouts in, so it was hard just being on the road. But shoot, man, I am very blessed. I'm very happy with the way Christmas went. So I think I got everything that I wanted. I didn't really need much. So
That's good. Sometimes when you get to a certain age, it's just like just being around the people you love, just having a good time is enough to make you feel satisfied. But you're right, with the wedding and everything, it's like it's hard to really.
There's a lot of money going out, and obviously, with me ripping my head open earlier this year, I've been training, but I haven't really been fighting, so there hasn't been so much money coming in. But I mean, like we were saying though, off the top, we were saying earlier, I'm the kind of guy, and my fiance is the kind of girl who, if we want something and it's realistic for us to get it, we're just gonna get it. It's why wait for a holiday,
Exactly.
So
well, it's like back in the day, it used to be like, hey, there's a Christmas sale, and Black Friday used to be Black Friday, where people like were stabbing people for Cabbage Patch Kids and shit. So it's not like that anymore.
Remember when Dad? This was my first experience with Black Friday. Like I've known there was deals and stuff, and Mom, Grandma, Dad, Aunt Karen, everybody, they would all look at the ads and they'd all kind of get their game plan on what they were doing. But finally, like I was old enough, I think you were old enough, Vance was old enough, and
we all went.
Dad took us, and they had this really good deal on like this 32-inch TV or something. So he's like,
which back then was like, oh my God, that's humongous,
And so he gives us the lowdown. He gives us this pep talk before we go in. He's like, all right, you guys need to understand, people get a little crazy. You guys take care of each other. You always take care of each other because people get a little crazy. But you have your hand on it. You do not take your hand off of it. And then I think at this, I was maybe like 11 years old, dude. And he's like, I was like, well, what if somebody like grabs me or tries to take it? He's like, you want him to take your shit?
So that's yours.
No.
You want?
And he's like, well, you better handle it then. I was like, oh, damn. Okay, Dad. So, and it was just fun because, wow, man, Black Friday was nuts. I want to say there was a limit of maybe like 200 of those TVs. So people were literally clawing as they like cut off the wrapping to get to the pallets. And he's like, keep your hand on it, and you grab it, and
it's like we're kids and we're just like, like, oh, but I remember because after we left, Vance got the TVs carried out. He's like, yeah,
Vance was
pumped, he was like, dude, I got a TV, let's go.
So we were finally old enough where we all had our own room rooms at this point. So that was the big thing of like, it was a huge deal for us.
Yeah, we didn't all have to like, hey, I want to play the PlayStation. I'm playing the PlayStation now. It's like we had our own TV. We can play it whenever the heck we wanted, you know? But Vance, he was just like, dude.
He wouldn't let go of that thing, and he was looking at it in the car. He had it on his lap, and he was just like,
it's like, I made it big. We did it. Moving up in the world, man.
That was a really fun time. It was, oh gosh.
Well, do you remember, like, we stayed home for Thanksgiving when we were in Pueblo, and Coach Dax, he went Black Friday shopping. He's like, hey, Gonzo, you gonna sit in this line for me and get my daughter a fucking TV? And I was like, what?
I guess.
And he's like, I mean, I'll buy it, but you're gonna get it for me. Because it's like, I need like 3 of these. And I was like, you know, that's when it got tame a little bit. But I was just like, here's your TV, Dax. Well, and he was like, you all right. You all right. And I was
He's
like,
you all right, dude. I mean, it's crazy, man. The holidays are crazy because you see some people going so wild. And hey, man, I'm always one that I'm like, I'm not going to put myself in a bad spot to get everybody gifts. I hope everybody gets it. You know, I'll try my best. But at the same time, it's like, if it's a rough year, maybe we just don't do gifts this year. You know, it's just
everyone gets a letter. You know, hey, I love you. But
you get a hug.
Dude, we still gotta do hugs for the PFL card and hugs and I love yous and push-ups, but we gotta look at that.
Hey, we'll do it live. We'll do it on one of the shows so everybody can see us do our push-ups.
And you're just sitting there damn it.
I think I got you if I'm not mistaken. And we'd have to go back and kind of calculate them.
I remember I called out and I said, I thought, what was it, 155s, because it wasn't, why am I forgetting his name? Older guy.
It was,
Bellator champ.
Man, why am I having a brain fart right now? What is that guy's name?
Premise. Brent
Premise. And he ended up getting knocked
lost.
Out. And Ramazov, and that was one that I had.
You had that one.
Umulev, 170s.
170s. So, like, and I think he came in hot. I said the same one. But it was light heavies. We both thought Impa was going to win.
Yeah,
Impa didn't
win. Dude, he ended up getting,
got knocked out quick.
Dude, that was very surprising, too. I did not picture that happening. But, let's go back over it when the time comes.
Yeah, but, you know, maybe we'll do a live stream. We'll post it up on Instagram or something and just like see how many push-ups I can do and how many times Just can say he loves me, you know?
I love you. I love you.
And I'm just,
I love you. I love you.
You're a goober, dude. But back on the Christmas thing, this is such a weird thing for me because I didn't even know these things existed until last week.
What's that?
Inflatable, like couches, sleeping bags.
Well, whenever I first got to Grams, I was like, "The heck is Gab laying on?"
Yeah,
but, it was pretty dope. And she's like, "It's honestly really comfy." So I jumped on them whenever she got off,
and that's what it was because apparently that's like the craze. Like all my wrestlers, we wrestled at the Christmas tournament, and they were just they brought these things. I was like, how do you inflate that thing? And I was like, it's easy, coach. You just open it up and you run and you fill it up and then you just close it
and wrap it up.
And then you wrap it up to get all the slack out. And then you clip it and you pretty much just got like a little, it's not really an inflatable mattress. It's just a lounger.
Just like a single person. Yeah. Like a little beanbag, airbag, I guess.
Yeah. And Aaliyah saw me looking at it and she's like, all right, that's an affordable Christmas gift. Okay. But honestly, I'm pumped.
I mean, shoot, dude, we think about how many tournaments and how much time we've spent and, you know,
sleeping in the bleachers.
You'd see some people who would have actually an
air mattress
and how simple this is.
This is easier.
Same concept.
Well,
easier, cheaper.
It's literally
still
like
comfy.
This big. And that the whole thing's that big, rolls it up. I'm excited to use it. And I know Maddox is like, I'm excited to use it.
Oh, so that was yours. That was
it was mine.
Okay.
That was mine.
I saw her laying on it. I thought it was hers.
She asked, she was like, can I lay in it? I was like, yeah, no problem. You know, but
I guess.
Yeah, little cousin privilege. But so, I mean, obviously, though, we got to go over what all happened this year because the new year's upon us and a bunch of stuff happened this year in the MMA sphere, man.
MMA was hot this year. There's, between Bellator making the kind of merge with PFL, UFC, there's been some new champions. There's been some huge
old names coming back.
prospects, some retirements. I mean, the list goes on. 2024 was a crazy year for MMA. So, shoot, we're gonna do the recap of some of our favorite moments, some of who we personally think were our favorite fighters in different aspects, and shoot, chime in, see what you think. You think we're dumb? Tell us what you think about who you thought was the best submission, best fighter, best whatever it may be, going somewhat off of our list.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so one of the things though that like we noticed whenever we kind of made our decisions was that it was very UFC heavy. And that stinks because UFC is not the only show in town, you know? So when we looked back at like, what was the best card that wasn't a UFC card, there was one clear outlier.
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely in my choice, the hands down. And arguably, I would say maybe even the best card of the year.
It was a tough card, dude. That was a good card.
If not the best card, it's a contender for it. But,
yeah. But what we both agreed, which is very rare, if you got a sibling, you're like, you don't see eye to eye on anything. But for our best non-UFC card of the year, it was PFL Super Fights Battle of the Giants, Ngannou versus Fajeda. Man, that was such a good card, and the main card, and they got local fighters out.
The hype, the level of stars that were on the card, but not even on the card, just in the stands. I mean,
Ronaldo was there, but I mean, starting from the top, I mean, seeing Ngannou come back emphatically and almost making it look easy,
dude. I mean, man, dude, like Pereira was. He's no joke, man.
He's a big guy. He's huge.
Won the tournament last year, knocked out some stars, knocked out Bader, knocked out several guys on his route, and then it was a no-brainer of who he had to fight. It had to be him versus Ngannou. And just such a huge person. I mean, he towered over Ngannou.
Taken down but knocked out.
Starts him first round.
And Ngannou just kind of shrugged it off. He's like, yeah, that's what I do, man. And coming back from boxing and just making Fajeda just quick work, that blew me away.
I thought it was going to be a lot better fight than that, and I just thought the reach advantage was going to give Ngannou trouble, but man,
and Fajeda's thrown up some slick submissions too, dude. Like, so
he submitted people, he's knocked people out. He's become quite an MMA fighter, especially as a bigger guy. It's kind of hard to be as athletic as he is, and man, either way.
And now they're like saying maybe Ngannou can fight the one champ and kind of just do another merger fight. But because I mean, everyone would love to see him fight Jones or Aspinall, but
either one.
He's like,
I don't know if it'll ever happen. Yeah, I mean, shoot, he's made money, man. He made that boxing money, and then he came back to MMA.
Man,
I would love to see it. That's what competition is about, right? You want to see the best fight the best, and you want to see who truly is the best. That's something I disagree with boxing, is that there's so many belts for one weight. There's not a clear, unless if one guy has like all the belts, which sometimes there are, but not very often. So,
well, even with boxing, it's like the first half of your career, you're fighting cans just because,
and then you finally take like somebody who's tough, maybe out of their prime, but it's like, okay, now it's the time to fight this guy. And then you go up, and then everybody's afraid to fight each other because it almost seems like in boxing, you lose your O, you lose everything. Yeah. If you don't have an O, the undefeated record, you're like, chump.
But
I'm like, damn, dude,
But you look at MMA, and it's like, dude, like your losses really don't define you because every fight is a tough fight.
Yeah. You reach a point where it's murderer's row wherever you go.
Yeah, there's no such thing as an easy fight in MMA. And if you're the person that does take those easy fights, guess what? You're not really a fan favorite.
No, people are like, nah, you're supposed to win that. You're supposed to knock that guy out. You're supposed to knock that guy out.
Yeah. Which it's like, I don't know. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But so Ngannou comes back, knocks out Fajeda in the first round, makes it look easy. But then
Cyborg and Pacheco, right?
Yeah, Larissa Pacheco.
Man, and Larissa was pretty hot, man. She beat Kayla Harrison their last exchange, which I think Kayla's up 2-1 on her. I believe.
2-1.
But I mean, hey, I always try to think that last one's pretty important because that's the most recent. And
Mhm.
Pacheco beat her the last time
Yeah.
before Harrison went to UFC. But man, I kind of figured I called that one. I thought Cyborg would get her. I just feel like the level of competition she's been fighting for so long and the star that she is, she shines under the lights, you know.
Well, and women fighters, they don't fade like men do when they get into those old age. They get better.
I
Dude.
mean,
You know, they stay in there. And for Cyborg, I think she's in her 40s. She gave Pacheco a hell of a fight, and I think they got the decision right. And it's hard to look at anyone other than Cyborg and say like you're the best. It's like no, Cyborg has done it all. Invicta, UFC, Strikeforce,
She is-
Bellator, PFL.
pioneer of women's MMA, dude. She everywhere she's gone, she's won a belt. And I mean, dude, she
can't be denied.
I was on a couple cards with her while she was obviously main event. I was a little bit below her, but I got to spend a lot of time with her there for a couple cards, and it was like, dude, she's just honestly a really cool person. I like to pick her brain, and just as we kind of, I don't know if I want to say a relationship. We're friends, probably acquaintances, I guess. But you know, I just like picking her brain of just like, dude, good person. You know,
Mhm.
inside the cage, she's very respectful, but even outside the cage, man, I see her interact with fans, and I mean, man, dude, I'm not anywhere near the level she was on of stardom, but she took the time, answered a lot of questions, and just we talked, we laughed, and I'm like, man, you are. How do you not like her, man? I was like, she's fucking cool. So, but I mean, maybe that's why it helps her. What got her to where she is now.
And we had two other fights that were on that card that were standouts. Like Johnny Elbin already beat Fabian Edwards, so we're kind of gonna skip over that. It was a lot closer this time around,
Yes,
than it was the first
but
time.
I mean, shoot, man, it was deserved. I think Eblin beat Impa in the no, that was before
the PFL versus Bellator,
But,
champions versus champions.
Edwards won several fights, and he left no doubt that he was the number one contender, and this was the fight that had to happen. But I mean, shoot, Johnny Eblin's a bad dude.
Dude, his wrestling's tough. American Top Team knows what they're doing with him. I would like to see Eblin versus like Driscus, just to know where the bar's at, you know?
Yeah.
Or like even like Strickland or like Costa. I feel like Eblin would hang with
one
those
of
guys,
those
you
like
know?
top 5 guys.
Yeah, because and his hands are getting there. He'll be, man, and you know, seeing how things are going right now with Bellator, a lot of fighters are kind of unsure about what's going to happen.
There's a lot of frustrations. Just people are getting held out, and man, I feel for him because in this game you get a small window of when you're in your prime, and there's a small window to make money. There's a small window to reach the stardom that you want, and some of the highest guys in these promotions are not getting fights.
And it stinks because that's where you know people got to think this is a job. It's not just I fight when I want to fight. It's like some of these guys, you know, they're door dashing, they're running cable, they're doing stuff that they don't want to do but they have to because it's just so. But so if that happens, I'll be excited to see Eblin fight some of these other guys, get his name out there because obviously. I think it's no question he'll hang in the UFC. It's just how well does he hang?
He might even take an L, but I mean, dude, I think he's on that level.
Absolutely.
I mean, he can strike, he can grapple, he's tough. But who else?
The last one from that card, yeah, because I didn't know much about Paul Hughes going into that fight. Straight up,
I knew a little bit about him, but I just thought the jump up in competition to fight AJ McKee, I did not think he was going to be able to pull it off. And man, big fan of AJ McKee. I've counted that guy several times and really cool dude as well. And I've watched him and I just like, dude, that dude's the man. But Paul Hughes gritted it out, banged with him, and I mean, caught him with some hard shots too. And so it's like he did what he had to do. It makes it really interesting because I think a lot of people really thought AJ McKee was the only guy to really give Usman a real competitive fight. But now that he's been beat, it's like, okay, Paul Hughes, we see you, man.
Well, they got that fight booked. Hughes is going to fight Usman Nurmagomedov now, and I'm like, I'm for it, dude. And Hughes is really leaning into the Ireland versus Russia thing that happened with McGregor and Khabib. So I'm here for it, man. And
It's an exciting fight because if Paul can, I like that just gritty, tough. Like I don't want to say brawler because he is like technically sound, but he makes it ugly for you. And I wonder if that might be the kryptonite, dude. It only takes one.
mm-hmm. But so I mean, that was our non-UFC card of the year, and a lot of good names on that. A lot of big fights to come from it.
Mm-hmm.
But let's start from the ground up now with some of our superlatives. So I mean,
okay,
ground up,
let's
right?
see. You want to go from bottom? You want to go from top? Let's go from the top.
Okay, that's fine. So male fighter of the year, Justin. Who do you got?
Man, there's a lot of guys in the mix, but I really think it has to be Alex Pereira, man. Poatan. That guy he's fought 3 or 4 times.
3 times, all knockouts.
High level, and all of them have been knockouts. And I just find it hard not to give it to that guy. At this level, to do what you've done, and I mean, he's older, and dude, you can argue for some other people for sure, but I still think he deserves it. I mean, 3 fights in a year, sometimes that's not easy, especially being older, but to do it the way he did it, that guy is the man, dude. Holy cow, that guy's hands have got to be.
He put the UFC on his back.
Yeah, pretty much. He's the face of the UFC right now.
So I agree that he had a great year. But that's also him like going out of his comfort zone and putting the UFC on his back. Somebody who I think had a monumental year and I've been a fan of since they debuted. It's funny because like I used to get picks sent to me from this guy. He's like, hey, send me $10. I'll send you some UFC picks. And he sent me this pick and I was like, hey man, I don't think that guy's going to win. I think it's going to be this guy. And he was like, well, good luck to you. Hope it's all well. And I made buku bucks because at the time he was an underdog. Ilia Topuria had the best 2024 because he first Georgian or Spaniard. He's Georgian and Spaniard.
Yeah.
So he's not the first Georgian because technically Merab, but he's the first Georgian after Merab. Merab won it later because he won it at UFC Noche.
Second, but
so whatever. Regardless, not the point. The point was that Ilia Topuria was pretty much just on a murderer's row to get to the title. Made quick work of Volk, and I think that he got the worst end of Volk. Volk after 2 fights with Islam.
Yeah, that's hard, man. You're confident after you've been pound for pound champ for so long, and you lose back-to-back fights. I mean, and then also you're going up. It could mess with you a little bit. Then getting knocked out like that. So I think if something like that happens, you should take a little bit of time, which I don't think he did enough to really. I mean, shit, dude, it looked like he was doing good, but when Ilya finds it, man,
he finds it. And but the reason why I really put him as my fighter of the year was not because of the Volk one. Volk is one of the featherweight goats, and he deserves that. It's for beating Holloway after his stretch, dude. Beating everyone that he could in featherweight, then knocking out Gaethje the way that he did, and then taking Holloway and giving him what many people think was Holloway's last chance at a title.
Yeah, at least at 45s probably.
Mm-hmm. So that was I like Topuria this year. I totally understand why you picked Poatan.
That was probably my. If it was just. I mean, there's one more fight for Poatan. That's why I said him, but also coming off of knockouts. It's probably between those two for male.
Yeah.
For male, anyways.
It's definitely one of those two. If you had someone else, let us know. But I like both of those picks, honestly. But now, female fighter of the year, which is so weird that neither of us are picking. Well, technically, one of them is a champ, but neither of them are UFC champs. So who's your female fighter of the year?
Man, I mean, we just made this big hype of Cyborg. I it's hard not to, but I mean, I am gonna have to go Dakota Dacheva, dude. I just feel like she came in hot and she talked the talk, but she walked the walk, man. And she beat some gangsters and kind of starched everybody, really. and now she's a millionaire. She's the face of PFL. She came in and fucking made a splash, and now everybody knows who she is. I think she's my fighter of the year. She's hot right now, man. I don't know how else to say.
I mean, 4 finishes in less than a year. When you look at when the tournament started to when it ended, everyone got knocked out.
Yeah,
everyone got knocked out. That's high level striking, and beat Talia Santos, where everyone kind of thought like, that's just a crash course for the two of them.
Yep.
But made her look like nothing.
Yeah,
too.
She kind of pieced her up, which I even picked Talia to win. I thought, and Dakota kind of punked her.
So I agree with you that Dakota Dacheva is the female fighter of the year. The UFC just didn't really have that female string, man. Like, a lot of people thought Raquel Pennington won her fight.
I definitely thought she won against Juliana Pena, and it sucks. And maybe we're biased just because she's a Colorado girl, and we've met her several times and talked to her. And she's cool as fuck, dude. Like, but it just sucks, man, because I really thought she won that fight. I just did not see how they could give it to Juliana. But I mean, I get how you could argue that, but man.
And then strawweight Valentina, had a pretty lazy fight with Alexa Grasso, so it wasn't anything that would have like, yeah, you're the female of the year,
And I think that is now done. I think everybody's like, we've seen them fight 4 times.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we're past it. We want to see them fight somebody else. I think Valentina's going to fight maybe 1 or 2 more times, and I think she's kind of done.
Well, Valentina's going to fight Patchy's girl. Tatiana Suarez. So, and I'm so happy for her, dude. She has an interesting story. I mean, great wrestler, got into the UFC. She won the Ultimate Fighter.
Yep.
Ton of injuries.
I think long layoff, multiple year layoff.
So I can't wait for that one.
Don't quote me on this. She had a cancer, right? Or a tumor, or did I make that up?
I think you're making it. I've never heard of that.
Okay. If that's not true, then let's just cut that part out of this. But I thought she ran into some injuries and stuff that was holding her back, some medical issues.
Her knees and her back, dude. Something wrong with her knees and her back. And then, at the lighter weights, like, there just wasn't anything either that, who would you, like, Zhang Wei Li, I think she defended her belt once, and it just wasn't anything to write home. Dakota Dacheva, the only other person I think that could have given a run for her money,
and that's why we'll place her an honorable mention.
Kayla Harrison.
She came in, whooped up on Holly Holm, and then she fought
wow, why are we drawing a blank on these people, man? But it was her first like decision in the UFC. She bled, and she made a joke. She's like, you're the first one to make me bleed. And I think she's got to fight
for the drop down to 135s. I'm surprised she made it. But
dude, she used to fight at 55.
She's a professional, dude. She's a gangster, and she did it. And I think she can be the champ at 135s.
I think, and Juliana Pena is shaking in her boots to fight Kayla Harrison.
Kayla Harrison's a bad bitch, dude. Excuse my language.
She's gonna
Olympic
get the
champ.
Multiple
Olympic champ. I mean, she
multiple PFL champ,
and she's intimidating. That's why she's honorable mention. Obviously, she's a real deal.
It's just because she didn't win a title. It's like, but Dakota 4 fights in 1 year, she gets the female nut for sure. So. Fight of the year. We went back and forth on this of just there's so many, man. That's what makes MMA fun because like, man, you can't. I think some people, and maybe this is why I'm a little biased. I think both of our decisions were, even though they were different, happened later in the year, and that's kind of what people remember. But maybe I'm biased. Recency bias.
Yeah, recency bias. But so my fight of the year, maybe I'm biased because I know these guys, and both being from Colorado and both high level, not just grapplers, but fighters, man. Royval versus my boy Tatsuro, man. Brandon Royval ended up coming up with the split decision victory, but man, back and forth fight where Tatsuro looked like he had him. There were some spots where Royval, man, maybe almost finished Tatsuro, and man, that was just such a fun fight for me because, like, I mean, some people don't think grappling's the most entertaining, but
They prove that it can be.
yeah, they showed that it can be because that was nuts, man, and just back and forth, 5 rounds of that,
5 rounds.
high pace, beating the shit out of each other, almost finishes. Just that was my fight of the year, and I think it was well deserved. So I mean, dude, those guys, those are some bad dudes, and they did some bad stuff to each other. Holy shit.
Man, and it's in a weird weight class too, where I think a lot of people thought Tatsudo was going to win just pretty easily. And Royval proved like, hey, he has that number next to his name for a reason. He's has years of experience, and it sent Tatsudo down a bit, but not for long.
I mean, dude, losing to Royval is
There's no shame in that.
Nothing. It doesn't hurt his.
No, and having that kind of fight
with him, yeah. I mean,
yeah. I think the only thing that stunk was that it was at the Apex. That could have been a much better fight.
Way bigger. They could have sold that, and it was easily a number one contender fight because, I mean, Royval, you could argue that he still deserved a rematch again for the title, but Tatsuro coming off of who did he beat? Where he was on his back and he kind of like figured forward him, but he was hooking the inside of his leg, and then whenever he made him fall, he like popped his knee.
Oh, I can't. Alex Perez.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
So that was a weird one. It's like, yeah, it's not, I'm sorry, but like it just happened. So Tatsudo will come back. Royval still hanging there at the top.
He's a man, dude. So, he's a bad dude.
Hopefully he can get Pantoja again. I think it'll
because that'll be the third one, right?
Yeah, and he's already lost twice, once early on, but then you got Manel Cape coming up. You know,
but who else do you give Pantoja, man? He's kind of ran through the whole division at this point.
Beat the newcomer that was coming in, Ascura.
Yeah, that's just proves my point of like he's kind of ran through everybody. They didn't have anybody else for him, so
he's gonna have to brought in the champ
from maybe.
So now my fight of the year, it's one that I'll straight up with you, I didn't think was going to be a good fight when they announced it, and it was a sleeper hit. Because it was one of those things where you tune in because you're like, why not? But it turned out to be really good. And that was it. Now, spoiler alert, it's funny. This one, I think we should say our honorable mention first. Because I want to talk about how everyone will be like, how is this not either of your guys' picks? Honorable mention, Gaethje and Holloway.
Yep. 5-round war. And man, that one hurt my heart just because Gaethje's my boy, dude. Everybody loves Holloway too, but like Gaethje's my dog, man. And you've seen him do some pretty amazing things and have an incredible career. And you never want to see somebody that's like a fan favorite, a BMF, my boy, go back from our college days just to go out like that. And
that was a rough one,
man. But that one hurt.
And somebody said, Justin Gaethje's never gone a full UFC fight. And it's like, yeah, he was a second away from one. Or it's like, he's never gone a full 25 minutes of a fight. And it's like, yeah, well, he tried.
I mean, dude, and I mean, just even though, like, hey, dude, even though it didn't go his way, he earned some respect because, like, and that shows, dude, that's what a BMF would do. He'd all the way pointing at the ground. Gage is like, hey, I'm about it, dude, let's do it. And it sucks because I think Holloway breaking his nose with that kick really changed things. Gaethje breathing out of his mouth. Gaethje's had breathing issues with his nose since we were in college. Mm-hmm. So he finally had the surgery on it, and he's like, nah, I'm going to wait till I'm done, dude. It just doesn't make sense because of that reason. But either way, hey, man, to Holloway too, man. Knocking out somebody like Gaethje and going up a weight class to do it was like...
It was dope. It wasn't my fight of the year, though. Like, we have to talk about it. The only reason why I didn't make it my fight of the year was like, yeah, it's a high-profile fight, 2 recognizable names, and they went out there and brawled. I just thought that it was Holloway for 5 straight rounds. And that's what kind of, like, I feel like if it's going to be a great fight, you can't, a lot of people look at that last, like, 10 seconds and say, that makes the fight. It's like, dude, I watched 25 minutes of that fight and I had a good chunk of money on it, and I'm like, dude, this fight sucks, but that's me being a bit of a skepticist, but my fight of the year was Khalil Roundtree versus Poets on Alex Fajeda. Now I chose that one because not a lot of people liked it. They're just he's picking his fights. He's picking strikers. He should have fought Ankalaev and got the Russian to go against him. And people were like, "Oh, Pereira's gonna knock him out like first round." But it turned out to be a slobber knocker, dude. And that's what I was about. I was like, and Roundtree knocked down Pereira, and it gave him hope. And that was just such a fun back and forth fight that I was saying. And that was a fight where Pereira's like, I don't need to fight Roundtree, but he's like, yeah, I'll pull the UFC out of a jam again.
I'll put him on my back, and sure. Man, I'll be the first to admit, when they announced that, I was like, dang, that does not make sense to me. Just
because was he ranked like 8th?
I think he was 8th at the time. Roundtree was ranked 8th. Pereira, obviously the champ, coming off of 2 knockouts and kind of a very quick turnaround again. So I was like, I don't know if I really like it. But after watching the fight, I was like, damn, dude, these guys are banging. And then kind of just recently, maybe a couple weeks ago, Roundtree came out with
that song. He wrote a song about how
my name's Khalil Roundtree. I was almost champion.
That song was so like, I loved it because it's like, at least he's got a sense of humor.
Yeah, he's like, why does Pereira have to be so strong?
So, and that's the kind of guy you want to get those shots. Like, he's been in the UFC for a long time.
He's been in there for a long time. He's fought some of the best, and I mean, dude, he's taken some L's, but he's also a very entertaining fighter, and he's starched a lot of high level fighters.
I just remember the Anthony Smith.
Fucking,
you want one?
You want another one?
Fucking one? I don't get it. And
when he did that, it reminded me of
Bubbles
from Trailer Park Boys. Like, you want one?
You want one?
And I'm like, I'm glad the ref stopped it, because like he could have unleashed the fucking Khalil bomb, I guess, but it was unnecessary. So,
dude, and you ever seen Khalil Roundtree like before he was a fighter? He was like 300 some pounds, dude. Like, he was like
I
obese.
did, yeah. Which I like. He's an interesting person. Man, very into music. I think his dad was into music somehow. He's like a producer or something. So, I mean, dude, I think Khalil has been like a DJ. He's done like some producing and stuff. So, like, I always like that aspect of fighters, because you
don't really
run
know who
into
they are.
You don't really know who they are. You know them as a fighter. Like, a lot of people know me as J-Train. They don't know me as Justin. They don't know this other stuff outside of fighting. But like, hey, man, it's cool. I get it. It's just whatever.
It's like, you don't know that he actually knits his own sweaters. He doesn't, but you thought for a minute.
See what I mean? Do you really know me?
It's like, I mean, like, okay, well, on that subject, what do you think? Something that, like, I obviously know you as my brother, but what do you think? Something that people that are watching would be like, oh, I did not know that about Justin. That is a really cool thing.
Let me think here. I mean, okay. I'm a college graduate. I have my teaching license. I could be a teacher, but instead I chose to be a fighter. Maybe when I'm done, but I like to play video games. So if anybody ever wants to play, I like to play Call of Duty. I'll get on Apex. It's not my favorite, but a lot of my friends play Apex, so I'll get on with them. Kind of like a big guy of like God of War. I like those games. Some type of story, but like a little guidance. Besides that, I don't know, man. Like,
we need to take you to Comic-Con, you nerd.
I would go to Comic-Con. I'm a big sneakerhead. I love like Jordans. I got a little collection going. I got some Travis Scott's, and just depending on what everybody's into. I really like. Probably my favorite shoes are the Air Jordan 1s. Just I like the style. I like the look. Not the most comfortable to wear all day, but I don't know. Besides that, what do you think?
I think it's pretty good. Justin's also, it's weird. You have a weird sense of humor, like when it comes to like certain movies that we watch. Because like I'll watch a movie and Justin will be like, yeah, it's kind of funny. But then stuff that Justin's like on the floor, just I'm just like, that was funny. So like Grandma's Boy. You love Grandma.
Great movie. That's funny. That's hilarious, dude. Some guy who's like 40 years old. He's just like a video game maker and lives with his grandma, likes to smoke weed. That's hilarious, dude. Nick Swartzen, that guy's hilarious, dude.
Year one with
I
Jack
think that's a
Black
good
and
one.
Michael Cera. I'm
Jack
like,
Black is awesome, dude. I think that guy's hilarious.
I just was like, but like the movies where you're like, I love this movie. I love this. Like, I'm like, and I'm sitting here like, hey, you like, universally loved movies, and you're just like, yeah,
That's funny, but it's not my favorite.
So, but all right, so sneakers and video games. Okay, now you know.
A little bit, I guess one more thing back to fight of the year. There was one fight that I wanted to throw out there that was, I think, Gamrot versus Hooker. I had to throw that in there because I just thought those guys went to war, dude. Those guys, even though it was a 3-round fight, I wish it was a 5. Just,
oh my gosh, I don't
just for personal fan, just
I didn't
appreciation. I don't know if they could have gone 5,
but I didn't expect Hooker to come out and win that fight, dude.
I thought it's hard just because like I felt like Gamrot took him down, but because I think that's like one of the things that's growing as like judges. If you take somebody down, you have to like use it for damage or for like a benefit. You can't just take them down and hold them, like that is what you're still fighting. It's not a wrestling match. It's a fight. So damage should mean something, and I think that's probably the difference between like, I loved it because, I felt this feeling of like, dude, sometimes you're getting cracked and you're fighting, you're all beat up, but like they turn over to the corner and Dan Hooker's like, both eyes like swollen shut, mouth bleeds, like, I fucking love this shit, guys. And his coaches are just laughing. They're like, I know you do. And they dump water on his face and wipe him down with the ice. And he's like, I fucking love this. I was like, dude, that's badass. That's just like a true warrior spirit, man. It was
now we got a new mythical fighter. You had like Sea Level Kane and like TRT Vitor. Now we got tatted up Hooker.
Well, because he didn't have any tattoos, and then like you didn't see him for a while, and then I was like, damn, dude, this is a completely different guy.
It's like he's like, well, I got all my bills paid off, and I don't have any debt, so ink me up, baby. Let's go.
Well, I did see too, just since we're on the topic, they're flirting with Gaethje Hooker fight, which
that'd be such a good fight.
I hope it's a 5-rounder.
There's no way it wouldn't be.
I mean, dude, it has to be a co-main or probably even a main of like. I mean, dude, that's a huge fight. I think a lot of people would love to see it and pay big money to see it. So.
And it's like if MMA math adds up, it's like Hooker gets knocked out by Chandler, Gaethje beats Chandler, but MMA math never adds up.
That's not how it works. I mean, same thing with.
But also
the Gaethje Holloway Poirier.
Yeah, it's like there's always this weird thing. So those were our fights of the year. But now I always like this one because each year a new prospect comes out of the woodworks, and you just get to learn a little bit more about how the sport's getting adapted to the new times and the new style of fighter. So my prospect of the year had 4 wins this year and got his name in the rankings.
Starching some fools, man, and it's hard. He was up there with mine too. It's how could you not give this guy this? You could argue with fighter of the year, but just because of the fact of like how high of level Poetons were, I felt like he deserved it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go this as like either an honorable mention of fighter of the year or definitely prospect upcomer of the year.
Yeah, and I say prospect because hey, like. He won on the Contender Series, and he just started starching fools in 2024. And he actually fought in LFA, and he fought for 1 before.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so my prospect of the year is Carlos Prates, and
bad dude.
4 fights in this year. I think he finished everyone.
Neil. I mean, dude,
Trevin Giles. And. All while smoking fucking a pack a day, which is crazy to me.
Such an interesting when they like had that little mini skit on him, and he's like, "I drink whiskey." I think that's what he said. He's like, "I drink some whiskey, and I smoke probably like 8 to 10 cigarettes a day." He's like, "I've tried to stop, but it hurt me." He
went through the withdrawals.
I thought I had I think he was saying he's like, I didn't feel the same when I was training, and I like almost wanted to kill myself. So he's like, it was one of those things that he's like, okay, I try to limit it, but I need it. And he's like, I am a better fighter when I'm smoking cigarettes. I'm like, damn, dude, that's crazy.
It's like, you imagine just like starching some guy, you're on the top of the cage celebrating, then you just yeah.
Well,
Taking my smoke break, you know?
I have smoked a cigarette or two, but I'm not. It's just not my thing. It grosses me out. Just,
But it's
I
enough
just
of your life.
feel
that you're
how
like, I got it.
harsh it is on my lungs. I don't feel like, as an athlete, I'm like, dude, the
Doesn't
way I
make
think-
sense.
No, absolutely. I mean, but whenever you're knocking people out, I mean, like, maybe you don't need to be
He's
the
got
best
something
cardio
that's
guy.
working, you know? So Carlos Prates, he's my prospect of the year. JG.
I believe they're teammates. So we were kind of we were having this debate, which I don't think we threw it in there, but it's something that we're gonna say is like maybe team of the year.
Team of the year is
Team of the year. We'd probably say the Fighting Nerds,
Dude, they came out of nowhere. It kind of seemed like,
but like came in with a force and heavy, and like just because obviously my fighter or my prospect upcomer of the year who have a little bit of resent me because he beat my boy, but I was there live. Gene Silva, you know, man, I think he fought like 3 times this year, and I think he's had 3 stoppages. One was against Dober in Denver,
Charles Jourdain.
And then there was somebody else, I can't remember his name, but
that was his debut.
It was his debut, and I think he first round, I think he starched him, dropped him, and then just ground and pound punches, just boom.
And he went up to 55s to fight Dober.
Yeah.
He's a 45er. He was overweight against Jourdain, but knocked out Jourdain. Then he was like, no, I can
Did
step
he
up.
miss weight against Dober?
No, it was because he missed weight against Jourdain at 45s. So they suspended him from fighting at 45s. So he's like, all right, I'll fight Dober on short notice, whatever. I don't mind it. And then just, put a big old nasty one on Drew that he had a pretty gnarly cut on it. It was eyebrow, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
it honestly looks pretty clean now. I train with Drew. I know Drew. We've known Drew for a long time, and he's always been good to us. So
he's a good guy.
It's cool. He got me hooked up with some scar cream. He's like, dude, hey, you should use this. I've been using it for my eye. And I was like, dude, your fight was like a month after mine. Yours looks really good. So he's like, no, dude, I'm telling you, use this stuff. So I started using it for my head too. But anyways, it's about Gene Silva. Unfortunately, not about Drew. But dude's a bad dude. That team is doing some shit. I love how they like wear the nerd glasses with the tape in the middle, and they just like, but they're bad dudes, you know.
And they all are, because the first person I knew that was part of that team was Gaio.
Oh yeah,
the 85er,
Baralo.
Yeah. And dude, and he's on a tear. I think he's really close.
He's in top 5 right now. I think he's supposed to fight. I
think he's gonna
maybe Ian. They're flirting with maybe Ian Gary.
No, he's not 70s. He's 85s.
Oh no, he is 85s.
Who's the guy? He's from Killcliff. He's got the Samoan tattoo, white boy. Drawing a blank on his
Allen?
name. Yeah.
Brendan Allen.
Brandon Allen. Yeah. He's going to fight Brandon Allen. Brendan Allen? Brendan or Brandon?
I think it's Brendan.
Brendan Allen. So I think he's going to fight him soon.
Brennan, I think.
Yes.
Brennan.
But I think they're going to fight soon, which I think is a good fight for him.
That is a good fight. Oh, man. Shoot, dude. Shoot. I got even another one for fight of the year. That was one of them that I forgot to mention. Brendan Allen versus the Action Man, Chris Curtis, dude. I thought that fight was sweet. And those dudes were, I think towards the end, Chris Curtis like pulled his hamstring or something, but he still fought through it. That was just a fun fight. I like those guys. I like them as like characters of just who they are.
Chris Curtis is a goober, dude.
But he's funny, man. He's tough. He's cool. He's
got a bunch of fights. You know that? He's got like 40 fights.
Yeah, he's got like 40 fights. Allen's probably up in like the 30s too. So I was like,
and he's been in the UFC for a hot minute. He's one of those guys who's like, he's trying to wear every color of shorts. Did you know that?
Really?
Yeah. So he's like, I've worn like 6 different colored shorts in the UFC. Patty Pimley, you better let me wear those orange ones, you son of a gun. And so, but yeah, Gene Silva, Fighting Nerds pretty much take our prospect, which makes sense. Like an up and coming team that just took the MMA world by storm.
Up and coming fighters, man. It just makes sense, man. Those guys are getting it.
So, and then we'll kind of be quick on this one because this was one that we didn't really think about too much. It was our comeback fighter of the year, and I think the person that deserved it the most was Peter Yan. You know, he came back.
And coming off, I think it was 4 back-to-back losses against some super high-level guys, and some of them very, very controversial of where we thought he won. But I mean, shoot, man, he beat Davison Figueredo, and then he beat who else? He beat
Did he beat Song Yadong?
Song Yudong.
Yeah, so you know, two good wins.
Two bad dudes, and I mean,
now he's back. He's back in contention, dude. Where one more good win.
yeah, I would like to see him fight Sean O'Malley again. I think a lot of people would like to see that, but
because I mean that fight was so close, and if it wasn't a 3-round fight and it was 5,
I mean, dude, that's the difference. Is like those big fights like that probably should be 5s. It's just like if you're like in contention to go for a championship fight next, can you go the 5 rounds?
I think that's a good thing. I
Good
mean,
idea, good thought. Anyways,
there's a bunch of fights that I think need to be 5 rounds. Like if you're in a number 1 contender fight, or you're in a fight with title implications, 5 rounds is an easy thing. So Peter Yan, though, man, he just had a rough go at things. You know, all the Aljamain fights, and then losing to O'Malley, and he is
he
having
did beat Sandhagen though.
He did, and that was a good fight too. And that was a while ago.
Fight.
So when he beat Sandhagen, he proved he belonged.
Mm-hmm.
But man, he was just on a skid, and I'm happy to see.
I'm happy to see him back because he's not done. Absolutely.
No.
Even whenever after his losses, I was like, I know he's not done. He's just.
Mm-hmm. I still think he could be the champ.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I would like him to get the belt, and then I mean, dude, he could still do this for a long time.
He doesn't
old.
like
take much damage, and just the way he fights is very entertaining.
He's a good boxer. He's so good on his feet. So, but that was a quick one. You know, congrats to Peter Yan having a comeback season.
Dude, love that guy. He's arguably one of my faves.
You'll have to. You ever watch Mixed Molly Whoppery?
No, I've never heard of that,
dude. So it's on YouTube. This guy does a bunch of his own little mini documentaries on MMA fighters, anyone. So like he did one.
Does he meet them in person and stuff?
No,
or he just does a bunch of research and it's like, well, this is what I.
Yeah, and it's funny because he's got this like East Coast accent, and he's like, he beat the fucking shit out of him. You know, it's like, oh yeah, he's got this like East Coast accent. But he did this one about Peter Yan. He did one about Rose Namajunas, and these are like full length, like 45-minute episodes of deep dive into like their personal life and all this stuff, and edits it all together. It's super cool, but I'll have to show it. But shout out to that channel because it's one of the best like MMA channels on YouTube.
I'll have to check it out.
Doesn't get a lot of dude, and it's dope. So. And he did one where it was like the Prince of Dagestan. So it was like about Habib, but he sort of segued it into Sadalayev.
Okay.
And so he's focused on wrestling. It's like how all these top flight athletes come from Dagestan and this remote region of Dagestan. So it was like pretty cool. But anyways, the card of the year. And again, we talked really highly about the PFL card and how that one honestly could be in contention.
Could be. I mean, some people would say it is. It's, I'm not biased. I like all the cards that we got. One of the cards which we are going to say, UFC 300. I think that was
when your first fight of the night was freaking Cody No Love Garbrandt versus Figueiredo.
Yeah, I was like,
that's it. Like you're starting.
That's on the prelims.
The first fight of the prelims,
like, dude. Both
UFC champs,
and they're on the prelims.
That's crazy. And they're just like, I'm just happy to be here, dude. Let's go.
It was such just, man, the hype for 300. I mean, Jim Miller being, even though he lost
100, 200, and 300.
That just shows. And I mean, shoot, granted, he just choked out,
Jason Jackson. No, not Jason Jackson. It was
Jackson.
Yeah.
Is that it?
It starts with a D. Damon Jackson. He choked Damon Jackson out.
Then he retired.
It's like Jim Miller still going strong. From top to bottom, that was probably the most stacked card of the year. Kayla Harrison had her debut. Freaking Poetan hitting him.
Let's just pull up the whole card here, dude.
It was now just for a card value, it was a good one. Aljamain Sterling beat Calvin Kattar.
Jamal Hill, Weili Zhang versus Yan Nan. That was
Obvious-
Gaethje versus Holloway.
Yeah, that one's a good one.
Oliveira versus Arman, which that was a hell of a fight.
And Arman's finally getting his shot after it's almost a year, dude. That's what's crazy.
Bo Nickel, the Cody Brundage wasn't my favorite fight, but it was still
It's like,
you know,
helped Bo Nickel keep his rise. Yuri
Prochaska
and
versus
Rocket.
Rocket. I mean, Rocket actually just he's jumped ship, switched his camps to Jackson Wink now.
He's in New Mexico.
He just made the change. I just saw that he announced it.
That is an interesting
after his
change.
loss. He was like, you know what? I need a change. I need to do something. So
that was a what
Aljo versus Calvin Qatar.
Qatar,
Great fight.
Diego Lopez, which honestly he could have been probably fighter of the year too, dude. He had
a hell of a. I mean, man, yeah. How can you not put that guy up there? I mean, obviously he's who's he gonna fight? Josh Emmett?
No, he's he might fight Josh Emmett, but a lot of people want to see him fight Mosaev again.
Yeah,
that was his debut fight.
Dude,
he did it short notice.
He took it super short notice, and like, damn, dude, that was
and competed the
that
whole
guy's-
damn time. So
he almost had him a couple times.
dude, I was like, dude, this Bieber mullet having guy,
Weird looking guy,
dude, he's the man. So, but that whole card was stacked.
That is
to the
my
brim.
that's probably my number one.
I
Battle of the Giants is definitely in the mix for sure, but that one was sweet. UFC Noche was cool, but I just didn't think it was the same.
well, it wasn't the problem with UFC Noche. I think a lot of people was like it was overpriced. They
At the Sphere.
at the Sphere in Las Vegas, it was overpriced. They were selling it for now. Don't get me wrong, it was a spectacle. They're like, we're never going to come back. It's like, they'll come back. Marab versus O'Malley was a boring fight. It didn't really do what we kind of wanted it to do. Marab just wrestle fucked O'Malley.
Exactly what we thought. I mean, and there was some people who were like, no way, dude, O'Malley won that fight. And I was like, I don't think so. Just not enough damage and just not really didn't do what he does. So I'm a firm believer that Marab deserved the win. And I mean, then you go down to Alexa Grasso, Valentina Shevchenko, which
Again,
was
another boring
awesome.
fight,
Yeah, just like I
though.
was like, hey, I'm a fan of it. I like it, but we've seen it. I think I'm past it.
Diego Lopez
ended up knocking
fighting
out
Ortega.
Ortega.
He
Did he
did
knock him out?
No, it was a decision.
Oh, it was a decision,
But he nearly
starched-
knocked
he
him out in
starched
the
him a
first.
couple times.
And that's what's crazy, dude, because Brian Ortega, he gave Diego Lopez a shot, and that's what I liked. And that was a real good, like, that should have been, for it being UFC Noche, you got Brian Ortega, who's, Mexican-American, and then you got Diego Lopez, who's Brazilian, but he represents Mexico. So it's like, that was a good little, like, something that the Mexican fans really wanted for that card. They talked about, we're going to put all these Mexican fighters on the card and blah, blah, blah. It, like, on the undercard, it kind of was, but like, oh, Electra Grasso is Mexican. And like, we didn't have any Yair, which would have been nice. We have no big Mexican stars right now. And, right now, if it's Ortega or Lopez and Grasso, I guess,
Grasso
would
was
be number one.
in the mix, but this fight was on that card, and I slept on this. I forgot. Daniel Zellhuber versus Esteban Ribovics. I felt like these guys.
That was a good fight.
These guys banged it out, man, and they
Boom.
that might even be that should be in the fight of the year contention, bro, because it was
just bananas. Just
there
all
was
action.
so much that just went down in 15 minutes that I'm like, holy shit.
Oh my gosh.
Ribovics won, right?
Yeah,
Or was
Zellhuber lost.
But
And
I
that-
still, dude, that was, I mean, holy cow, man. And let's go down the prelims.
Yeah.
Aldana versus Dumas.
Aldana's who Kayla Harrison fought, wasn't it?
Yes.
We were trying to remember
That was the one who cut her.
Yeah.
That is the one who cut her.
And then Ignacio Bahamondes won. I think he was the I think two Mexican fighters won, and one of them was Diego
Yeah.
Lopez. Oh, and
Raul
Raul
Rosas.
Rosas.
Chihuahua.
What? Oh my god, he is a really good fighter. I gave him trash for losing one of his early UFC fights. So I was like, man, he's stupid. This kid's young. It was like, but he's fun, and I think that's just kind of what you need as a fighter. You need to be exciting, fun, and personable, because it's like I could knock anyone out, and you'd be like Steve Urseg, like he's just like
He's a weird individual, dude.
He's just-
That guy is like,
it's like Ben Stiller and Steve Carell put in one, and he's just like, well, yeah, I like to, I get knockouts. I try to win the fight as best I can, and then it's like, but he just looks like
you don't say.
he just looks sad all the time. I'm just like, well, I'd like to fight for the title if there's an opening. But then you got Raul Rosas, who's just like, I want to buy my mama van.
Did you see Raul Rosas' dad posted on like Twitter or something, or X, that he's like, there's no more fighting for a while. Raul, whether he's a great fighter or not, he needs to, as long as he's under my roof, he needs to respect my rules, so he won't be fighting for a while. I was like, oh my god, did he just ground him? I mean, he is only like 18 years old,
Dude,
but I was like,
Raul, clean your fucking room. Dad, I got a UFC fight tonight. Clean your damn room first.
Dad, I just bought you guys a minivan. What the heck?
Was I asked for a Tesla?
So I was like, dang, dude, he got grounded. So it was like, it's funny. Some of my friends, Bauer, texts me and he sends me that. And he's like, dude, don't talk back to Johnny G, man. He's going to ground your ass. I was like, oh, fuck, dude.
It's just nuts, though, for that kid to, like, get that superstar, because he's gonna be one that's up and coming. He wanted to be a champ like quick. He's like, I'm gonna win UFC title. I'm gonna go move on to the next thing. And he was a good way to start UFC Noche, because he puts Mexico on his back pretty hard.
And he's just fun. I think people like him. People, whether you want to see him win or lose, you're gonna watch. And that's for a young kid. People forget that, hey, dude, he's only like 18 years old, man, but didn't even graduate high school by the time he was fighting the UFC. So it was like,
And he already had like 5 pro fights before he was 18.
yeah. So I'm like,
It's like, were they all in Mexico so he could do that?
Had to have been, I would think.
Which is
'Cause I know
crazy.
you can't do that here. And
No, you can't even get amateur fights till you're 18. So that's nuts, dude. But so for card of the year, I think we both agree UFC 300. But
yeah,
UFC Noche had some high points. It's just 300 from top to bottom was just the card. Submission of the year, man, there was some interesting matches, because when you look at submissions, like do you pick the submission itself? Do you pick how the implications of the fight went and that it just ended in a submission? There's so much things that go into that,
I mean, my honorable mentions, there's a couple that were like, let's say, I'll start with the honorable mention. I thought Patty Pimblett triangling Bobby Green, now known as King Green.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it was just like classic, fundamental, to the T, slick. I was like, dude, that was clean, bro. How do you not, like, at this level, doing it like that, especially against somebody like him, like against Green, it was so clean and just perfect. And I mean, dude, it's not easy to submit somebody just in
any capacity,
but then doing it to somebody on that caliber is like, I was like, okay, dude, that was dope.
And one of my honorable mentions was actually a title fight, but it's only honorable because of how it went. It was Dricus du Plessis submitting Israel Adesanya, because it's like how Dricus. It's funny because he fights in the worst way possible.
He does some weird stuff.
It's like, how does this work? It's like his striking is slick, but he also is like hitting some weird combos.
He'll like, and if people hit like a Superman punch, which is still like a fundamentally sound because it's like the way the force comes, but like he like jumps, leaves both of his feet, and he's like, and I'm like, what the heck was that, dude? And then next thing you know, he takes you down. I'm like,
he's got your back,
dude,
and he ends the fight, and you're just like, what the hell,
And he's the champ,
and so he's
like,
defended it. And look at the people he's beat.
Some high level guys, dude. So he
Whitaker, Strickland, controversially on Adesanya. And I expected that fight to be a lot more like, I hate you, because that was like the battle for Africa.
Yeah.
Remember? And man, but that was my honorable mention submission of the year, just because of how bad shit bonkers it was that he even won that fight.
I figured that's kind of how I saw the fight going. I did think du Plessis was going to win. Even though I'm a huge fan of Adesanya, I just figured Duplessis can take you down, and if he makes it work, I mean, just how fundamentally sound and spot on Adesanya is. He was going to either catch him or Duplessis was going to Duplessis him and make it ugly like that, do weird shit. And like, dude, he almost fouled, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, he picks his ankle, and then Adesanya falls, and just once he took his back, I was like, that's it, dude. That's a wrap.
Yeah. So the submission of the year. Submission of the year.
All right. So we did our honorable mentions. Me personally, I think, and it might be biased because this was kind of more recent, but I think my submission of the year was Khamzat submitting Whitaker, man. I think just the hype of the fight, how early, and I mean, man, he just does this to everybody. And like, this guy's the boogeyman. Dude, and to do that to Robert Whitaker, Bobby Knuckles, and he broke his teeth in. I'm like, holy shit, dude.
It's like, it wasn't like, oh, I kind of like, oh, I dislocated your jaw, which it was still in its own right scary. He broke his Kanye West his ass. And just went, my teeth are in the back of my mouth.
I'm like, dude, that hurts my heart because, like, dude,
everyone loves Robert Whitaker.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody who doesn't like him, you know? And just for the Wolf to do that to him, and I mean, just like I said, man, the hype behind the fight, such a dominant win, to do that to him in the first round, like, damn, dude, it's
nuts, dude.
Yeah. So,
and it's one of those things that's super frustrating because, like, we see Chimaev fight, Gilbert Burns at 170, and it's a super competitive fight, and it's so back and forth, and we're like, no way, this guy's gonna, hang, and he's gonna, he'll lose, and then he has that close fight with Usman at 85s, and we're like, if he had 5 rounds against Usman, maybe he'd lose, but then he fights one of the best 85ers in recent years, and just
does that to him. That's why, for me, that's the difference of, like, the honorable mention of just super clean technique, but, like, then you add the hype and all this with it, it just, things change, and, like, dude, that's my submission of the year for sure.
I didn't want to pick that. It is really good. My submission of the year is sort of like a blend with comeback and circumstance, but it's because honestly, every reason you gave for Chimaev makes it submission of the year.
Very similar though with your choice of, like, just the hype and such a big fight.
Yeah, so I chose Brian Ortega submitting Yair Rodriguez by arm triangle, because the story of the fight is already like, hey, Brian Ortega, he's this zigzag up and down fighter, but he's always been up at the top of the division, and this was his chance to show, hey, I can still stick here. And Yair's like, hey, I want my rematch for the title, and I want to be back. And Ortega's like, all right, I'm going to jump up and down. I'm going to get my, oh, shit, I just rolled his ankle.
Cage. I'm like, oh, my gosh.
And he's like, oh, shit, that hurt. He's like, oh, fuck, I'm compromised. And he gets his shit rocked early on by Yair. And he's like, oh, no.
It was looking ugly for him. It was.
Comes back and gets Yair with the arm triangle. For Ortega, like, if he hadn't lost to Diego Lopez, maybe he's our comeback fight of the year, But that fight, sticking it out and getting that arm triangle on a super tough Yair Rodriguez made that my submission of the year. But I totally could understand Chimaev doing what he did to Whitaker. It's like Yair, he's like, I couldn't beat a guy with 1 foot, but
I feel like Yair should have sat and banged with him, dude, and tried to. I think his wrestling defense is good enough that could have, but I mean, you could tell they started wearing on each other and they started getting tired, and Ortega's jits is no joke. But either way, man, that's what makes this game so good.
So now,
all right, for our last award, our picks is KO of the year. We've talked, and both of these are probably some of the biggest of the year. I think every real fight fan will remember these. And Vin, do you want to lead with yours? Or do you want me to go first?
I mean, mine's the logical choice for, like, people that maybe just don't watch too much, but it's just everything added on to it. Max Holloway knocking out Justin Gaethje at UFC 300 was the knockout of the year. 25 or technically 24 and 59.
59 seconds.
Just to put on the masterclass that he did, then say point to the ground and say let's fucking go. That was it. It was perfect, man. It was a great
Something that will go down in history.
Everyone's gonna think back to like, where were you when that fight happened? It's like, dude, I was watching at home. It was my birthday when that UFC 300 happened. So
Really?
I was, yeah. So I was watching that like, wow, like, and it was crazy. Had money on Gaethje, obviously personal friend, but I'm just sitting there like, wow, that's bananas, you know.
Just to see him get knocked out like that too, just face down,
face
on the canvas.
planted,
like,
and
oh man, it's like it does something to you. It hurts your heart.
It was just insane, man. Just to go full balls to the wall for 25 minutes and get that knockout with a second left. And it's like, and I've seen that twice because I saw it with Yair against Chan Sung Jung in Denver.
Yep.
And he hits that crazy little upward elbow.
That was such a weird. That was really cool.
And I think that was knockout of the year when that happened too.
For sure. Very last second, just like, what the fuck?
So I loved it. I hated it, but I loved it. So that one had to be knockout of the year.
I think a lot of people would agree with you. But for me, I just remember watching this, and I remember just seeing how ugly and just like scary for this guy's life. Like, just like, damn, this guy got brutally knocked the fuck out, and then started kind of seizing, toes curled, started seizing on the ground. Josh Emmett knocking out Bryce Mitchell. I think that's KO of the year just because of how, like, wow. Some people might not have even seen it because I don't even know if that. I think that was that on a fight night? Was that on a?
I think it was a pay-per-view. What pay-per-view was it? Because now I'm trying to remember like what other fights were on that night. Because that was but Josh Emmett's one of those guys where it's like he shouldn't be like as well regarded as he like. Dude, he's yoked as shit.
It was UFC 296.
Oh, technically that was last year.
Oh, it was last year. Oh, dang, dude. I thought that was this year. Well, I'm going to I got to change it, dude. It's not this year. I can't. I got it. Dang, I thought that was this year.
Well, so you got all the Pereira knockouts. You have Topuria knocking those guys out. I mean, Bryce Mitchell fought Kron Gracie recently, but like Josh Emmett hasn't fought since then.
I'm going to go Topuria over Holloway.
Shoot. That one hurt your soul.
It did, dude. I think that hurt everybody's soul. It's like, fuck you, Ilya Topuria. How dare you do that to Max Holloway? You know? But
I saw a bunch of memes of people going on UFC 5 and they're just like knocking out Topuria with Max Holloway. Like, yeah, you like that, don't you, bitch?
Don't you ever do that to the Blast train. The Blast Express. Dang, dude. Well, that's embarrassing, I guess. But just to remind you of how badass that knockout was. But
I mean, you're not technically wrong. It's like, hey, it's only 369 days, you know.
But yeah, I'm gonna have to go Ilya Topuria over Max Holloway. I just feel like it was a big fight. I think the hype behind it, and then I mean, dude, they were going back and forth, high level striking, and just for Ilya to, I mean, dude, he did what he said at the very beginning of the fight. He's like, come on, right here.
He's like, are we gonna do this?
Yeah, he's like, but that's my knockout of the year for sure. Dang, I was so confident on my other one. That sucks. That's
dude, it was so close, dude. It was like
about 2 weeks late, 2 weeks early.
But those are our best ofs. Is there anything that we missed? Anything that we, you know, I mean, I'm sure I would like to hear what everyone else's are, get a little engagement, but I think we covered a lot of ground.
You said team of the year is probably the Fighting Nerds.
Team of the year. And I mean, we made the joke about like most overrated or hated fighter of the year. And I feel like right now that's like John Jones.
I think everybody's mad at him just because of the whole Tom Aspinall thing. But I'm like, yeah.
How about this? I got one for you. What about I think you kind of touched on it already with your last pick, but like saddest moment of the year. I feel like a lot of people seeing
Holloway
Bless
getting knocked
lose,
out was probably the
maybe seeing some retirements. That could have been pretty sad. Stipe's done.
Stipe retiring. I mean, he's been at it for a long time. I mean, I wonder what would happen if they would have fought like 2 years ago, whenever they were supposed to, and then
I think the same thing would have happened.
I just think Stipe would have been a lot better. 2 years of the layoff does a lot of harm to somebody, But
Yeah, man.
I don't know. Well, either way, that's kind of our wrap up of 2024 in the MMA scene. If you guys have anything else you guys want to chime in, or anything that you think we may have missed, or things that you guys thought were some of the best of these, I mean, let us know. We'll share it, and we'll kind of we'll have a little debate about why you think what you think, why we thought what we thought, and I mean, shoot, man, we'll get the ball rolling on this page. Sorry we missed you guys for a while. We just had a couple things going on. Busy life, Vinny coaching.
Mm-hmm.
We're both planning some weddings, and obviously I'm gone part of the week training up in Denver, and then I come back home, and then so yeah. Well, I think this is anything else you want to say?
Yeah, man. We're going to do our best to get some more shows rolled out for you a little bit more consistently, and we obviously want to get more guests on the shows. We got a few guys that are going to be wanting to call in, and we'll do some video Skype-like interviews. And oh my gosh,
It's too small, but
it was like, who's that for? The elf on the shelf? It's the Yamako.
L'chaim.
But
Technically, we should be celebrating Kwanzaa if we're saying that.
L'chaim? Isn't that
Oh, no. Hanukkah.
Hanukkah? Today is Kwanzaa, though.
Today is Kwanzaa.
So, but again, we want to thank you guys for all the support, sticking in there with us. We want to get more episodes out. We want to get a lot more partnership with you guys. The more fan engagement, so like it, share it, subscribe, add a comment, do a little bit more with us so that way we can grow this page. We want to make it something regular, so you can help us out with that. Otherwise, we're closing out.
This is it. We want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas. Hopefully we see you guys again before the new year comes in. Be safe out there. Wish you all the best. We're signing out. This is the Blood, Sweat, and Banter podcast. Choo choo, baby.
Woo! Feeling so unstoppable. Feeling the impossible.
Being number one ain't nothing, no.